Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 11th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which made a great start today, pushing through towards the 75.50 level, but we've come back towards the 50-day line. It's currently around 74.80. Want to stay above that, and also want to stay above that little rising trend channel from back at the beginning of last month, 74.50. 74.50 currently the line in the sand, ahead of a potential move up towards 76.40 in the top of that falling February descending price channel. That's also the area of the 200-day line as well. So a lot at stake now in terms of potentially delivering a turning point or not. Obviously, what we don't want to see is another failure at the 200-day line. Moving on to the DAX, which has been struggling somewhat in the recent past, but at least we've managed to hold on to that December uptrend line. That's around 15,500. Another go at maybe breaking the 50-day line, 15,900, could be on the cards early this week. Don't want to see this market below its 200-day moving average, 15,400. And I suppose that also underlines the way that we are still below the 200-day line on our chart, but the DAX has remained above it since November. Breaking the 50-day line could take us for a retest of 16,500 by the end of this month, which was the turn of the month peak back in the end or at the end of July. Moving on to the Dow, and the picture is one of, I suppose, similar to what we've seen on the DAX, trying to hold in an uptrend line there from the end of last year, in this case 34,300. Above that, we're hoping for a break of 35,000 to take us back to the highs of the year at 35,600. So relatively simple setup. All that's missing at the moment is the RSI not being back above the neutral 50, or the market not being back above its 50-day moving average at 34,800. So those are the missing ingredients we want. Worst case scenario is that we have to test June support and the 200-day line towards 33,700. On to Bitcoin, and really a dead market still, which is very frustrating, considering many people go into the crypto area for excitement. But here at least we do have some support, 25,300. At the moment, this looks like a mid-move consolidation before going down, but a break of recent resistance at 26,500 could take us at least for a retest of last month's late peak at 28,000. Below the 25,300 level, there's a risk of a retest of the floor of that broadening March triangle, the red triangle there, as low as 23,200. But at the moment, it hasn't happened, and there's still the chance of bullish divergence with the lower lows for September kicking in and giving us at least 28,000 on Bitcoin. Moving along to the stocks, and starting off with Atome. And here the situation is that we've managed to have a bear trap gap reversal, bear trap from below the October support, and then gapping higher through the 50-day line. All very nice. An end-of-day close above the 200-day moving average at 99 pence could take us up to another leg higher, as high as £1.15 by the end of the month, which is the top of that broadening triangle from the end of March. Ideally, we stay above the resistance on the way down at 95 pence as a stop loss for those who are lucky enough to have got into this situation. Moving along to a stock which seems to keep on trucking, which is mysterious given the history of the stock over the last year, but very strong strong candles and strong price action, W-shaped reversal here, rising 50-day line. We've basically hit our initial target there around 18 pence. Just shy of that now, but just basically their end of day close above 18 could give us 22 pence by the end of this month, or hopefully much sooner. But if that is a proper W-shaped reversal backed by bullish divergence, we are looking good. Moving along to stock which was mentioned in the press, with no less. Sky, I think, mentioned it over the weekend, and it's done the trick. As that you can see here, we had an initial target here around 6.8 pence. Above that, even though this is not really a technical situation now, it's more a fundamental one, there's a chance of 13. And ideally, we stay above the 200-day moving average at 5.4 pence in the meantime. But an end-of-day close back above the 7 pence level could be a sign that we're going to head much higher. Interviewed Blackbird last week and looking forward to the special event on the 13th. In the meantime, we had a gap close buy signal at the end of last week above 9.5 pence, and above that we were looking for the shares to head up to 15 pence. We've made good ground today, and basically a sort of a bear trap price action there below 7 pence to start September, but while we're above 9.5, looking for 15 by the end of this month, and maybe even sooner. On to Cadence, which hasn't had coverage here for a little while. Here a gap off the lows, which is always significant, and that suggests that we may be ready for a turnaround. At least initial target here at 8.8 pence, while we're above the floor there around 6.5 pence. Best case scenario, maybe by the end of next month, up to 10.3 pence, and the 200-day moving average. On to critical metals, which I've given quite a bit of coverage over the last week or so. Here, the impression is that we have bounced off the initial resistance when the shares came onto the market a year ago, and above the 16 pence level, looking for at least 23 pence at that December resistance line, and maybe up to 25 pence as the best case scenario by the end of this month. The return for the shares there are obviously rather volatile this time last year, and that looks as though that's coming in as new support for the stock in a W-shaped turnaround as well. On to another stock which hasn't been here for quite a while, Cobra Resources. Quite a humdinger of an RNS today. Looks like a rising trend channel base. Bullish divergence going into the gap higher off the low, which obviously we like those gaps up off the low. And initial target here up towards 1.4 pence, hopefully over the next week or so, and then best case scenario by the end of next month, as high as 1.8 pence, while we stay above 1.1 pence. On to one of the stocks of the recent past, which is Corcel. Here we were looking for 0.48. I think by the end of this month, we got it by the end of basically almost by the end of last week. But the current situation is that we've exceeded that target, 0.48, and above 0.48 on an end-of-day close basis, looking for fresh leg to the upside potentially, and that would be derived by the line I'm just about to draw at the moment, which is coming up from back at basically this time last year. So the upper parallel there up towards 0.57 by the end of this month, while we hold above, ideally hold above the highs of Friday at 0.46. Moving on to Coro, which looks like it might be doing a Corcel. Rather confusing, but that's what it looks like. Here we've broken a line of resistance there from October at 0.26, and the message now is that above that, looking for the shares to progress to the top of that rising trend channel from December, as high as 0.4 pence by the end of this month. The longer we stay above the 50 and 200-day moving average area at 0.25, the better it is for Coro. Onto a stock which very recently started looking at, and it's Eneraqua, and it's got a kind of turnaround that we've seen on Blackbird. So gap close buy signal after an overshoot on the downside, a hammer candle there, and then up again. So it's almost exactly like Blackbird, which is quite eerie. Initial target here, £1.22, and that should happen over the next week or so. Next target after that, maybe by the end of the month, as high as £1.60, maybe by the end of next month, actually, to be fair. Don't want to put the bulls under too much pressure on that one. And the upside valid while we hold above recent support around 92 pence, but don't really expect this to go back below the 95 pence area, which is the floor of the gap. Stock which I don't normally look at, but has done, sort of surprised us on the upside. Gear for Music, hitting a target there around £1.18, which is the top of that rising trend channel from back at the beginning of the year. Above 118, looking for £1.60 as soon as the end of this month. Looks like there's something exciting going on there. Also quite exciting was today's RNS from Guild Esports, but it looks as though Sky are paying for helping its business model. Here we've had a gap to the upside, and the view is that while we're above that rising 50-day moving average at 0.65, we should easily head up to 0.93 and the 200-day moving average, which is also the top of that falling trend channel from back in March. Requested stock next, and certainly worth a request, Karelian Diamond Resources. Here we've had a very decent turnaround for the shares. Question is how much further can they go over the near term? Probably the best answer is up to 6.5p, which would be the top of that rising trend channel I've drawn from the spring of last year. The floor of the channel there around the 3.3p level, so above 3.3, looking for 6.5, ideally by the end of this month. Nice V-shaped bull flag and breakout through 4.7p so far today. On to Lunglife, which I covered on the initial move higher, but the retracement took us back to basically resistance on the way down around the 80p level. The current view is at above resistance on the way down at the pound. We're looking for a retest of £1.38, which, or at least at the retest of last month's peaks near £1.38, which is a November resistance line projections. A nice V-shaped turnaround there on Lunglife. On to Power Metal, where I noticed that one or two people are suggesting that the rise so far after last week's very decent news is underdone. Here we had an unfilled gap to the upside on Friday, and the share's ready to break that high. Initial target here was 0.92, and we're looking for up to 1.25p by the end of next month, especially while we remain above 3/4 of a penny. Seed Innovations is next, and it's been a slow burn higher for the shares. Second time lucky in terms of getting through the 200-day moving average at 2.2p. Above that, we were looking for up to 3.1p as an initial target. Hopefully we'll get that by the end of this month. Big picture target here, maybe by the end of next month, would be as high as the line I'm just about to draw, so maybe 3.75p, the upper parallel of that trend channel. And looking for that, as I said, by the end of next month, while we remain above the old July peak around 2.45, so above that. Looking for further gains, especially after today's gap to the upside. On to the last of the line today, which is Sovereign Metals, another company which has been quiet in terms of the share price over the recent past. Rather surprising that the stock managed to retreat after the rather big intervention of Rio Tinto. Yes, that Rio Tinto bounced off now the floor of this year's falling trend channel at 21.5p. Above that, we're looking for the shares to return to the 30p area by the end of this month, off the back of the bear trap gap reversal. So gapping down last week and gapping up this week, and backed by bullish divergence as well. So looking pretty good for 30p in the near term. If we get through 30p this time, it would be surprising if we didn't then head towards the mid-30s and that resistance line there from July 2022 over the next 1 to 2 months, or hopefully even sooner than that. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.